Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook video on Tuesday the 8th of January. Now during the week ahead we're losing the influence of high pressure that's been around recently and replacing it with a more unsettled pattern coming in from the Atlantic. Periods of gales across the mountains more common and some rain a bit more frequently than recent times, focused on western Scotland. Overall, temperatures leaning towards the mild side, some freeze and thaw cycles across the tops in Scotland. In terms of anything colder though, we're looking at how things develop into the second half of the month. Could be some interesting times ahead. Nothing too much to tempt us for snow and cold just at the moment though. These are the charts for the next few days. High pressure still around on Wednesday. A weak front is drifting toward the northwest of Scotland, and that'll produce lowering cloud and some drizzly rain increasingly into the afternoon. Otherwise it's a bright day with well broken cloud, many of the tops clear, and some sunshine around with pretty chilly conditions in place. A frost widespread in the morning and out of sunlight, ground remaining frozen. Now, somewhat milder air topples southeastwards across the country into Thursday, so overall temperatures are above freezing even on the higher tops. There might still be the higher terrain stays frozen or partly frozen. There'll be some drizzly rain just locally around that warm front sinking southwards, never amounting to a great deal, and a fair amount of cloud, low cloud shrouding many of the western hills in Scotland. Now into Friday, and generally within a broad warm sector, so temperatures staying above freezing, only just by a degree or so I suspect on the Scottish Munros though, and with a lot of low cloud across western mountains. It's not a very sparkling day, but across eastern regions there'll be some breaks, and along the Pennines and eastern parts of Wales should be doing pretty well too. Bits of drizzle, but not amounting to a great deal on the whole. Winds are likely to strengthen just as fronts toward the northwest of Scotland push their way in by Friday afternoon onwards. Now, an area of low pressure will pass eastwards towards Scandinavia into Saturday, taking strong winds with it, but leaving a generally windy day into Saturday. Expect widespread upland gales for most places. Temperatures are still around or above freezing for most, 1 or 2 degrees on the Scottish Munros. Nothing too excessive, and feeling cold where exposed to the wind. And again, there'll be low cloud covering many of the western hills, best breaks toward the east. There's a degree of uncertainty just where fronts come to rest by the time we go through into Sunday. The general theme, though, maintains a windy picture with upland gales, westerlies across the country, some rain and drizzle across western hills in Scotland, and if freezing levels just begin to drop a touch, we might see this turning more to sleet or wet snow across the higher mountains here. Just depends how far south that frontal system gets. To the south of it, a lot of low cloud and murk within a rather humid atmosphere, so western hills of England and Wales likely to be full of low cloud. So this is where we find things as we go onwards into the start of next week. High pressure is towards the southwest of us, low pressure passing towards the north, and keeping that general westerly flow in charge. Temperatures will be slightly up and down as warm and cold fronts drift across Scotland. England and Wales always staying more in the milder airstream through a good few days ahead. And I suspect there'll be upland gales quite frequently too. There could be severe gales across the mountains on some days. As we go through the week, just the indications that the airflow begins to turn a bit more west by northwesterly at times, and we're starting to draw in that scope for some colder patterns around from Iceland and Greenland. And just setting the scene towards a chillier pattern then as we head more into the final third of the month. If low pressure starts to pull a bit further southwards, we could be opening the door to more of north or northeasterlies. Now, as always, nothing absolutely guaranteed at this distance in the forecast, but many of the computer models into the final third of the month are coming round with this idea of a northeasterly pattern, or at least a blocked pattern, which will allow colder air masses to get in across the British Isles. That would be the trend. It would be low pressure somewhere drifting south into Central Europe, high pressure building towards the northwest of us around Greenland, maybe towards Iceland, the Norwegian Sea. The general airflow from that then comes round as a northeasterly and puts us under much colder air, and it could be a pattern that once it sets up could be around for a while. So even into February we could be finding a more wintry flavour is the dominant pattern further ahead. So we'll keep building on these ideas. It's one of those patterns which is just tantalisingly a bit too far away yet to pin down where it starts and how things evolve, but it's signals that have been around for a little while, and the story continues to build as we head onwards through January. I'll update you in the next planning video on Friday. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.